Hey! In this video, I will lead you through a sample game of Nexus Syndicate. The initial setup for each game is randomized through the use of setup cards. The game's all set up already, so we're good to go. First, in reverse turn order, both players choose an influence marker and a die and place them next to a sector of their choosing. Influence markers are important as you can only score a sector if you have the most influence or if you are tied. So let's begin. Player 2 goes first and chooses a red die, which they place in the upper left corner on sector A1, that is, with a 1 facing up, together with an influence marker pointing away from them. Player 1 also goes for a red die, which they place on C3. Now the first regular turn of the game follows. In a regular turn, a player first picks up all the pyramids from any sector tile and places them one by one onto contiguous sector tiles. The last pyramid needs to be placed on a sector that already contains a pyramid of that same color and size, or a die of that same color. This last placed pyramid then triggers the actual action of a turn. Let's see what player 1 does now. They start from B1, ending their turn on the small red stack on C1, which results in a basic red action, since small pyramids can only perform the basic actions of their color. As the stack has 4 pyramids, player 1 can remove 4 pyramids from adjacent tiles. They choose these 4, the idea behind this being that they want to remove the large reds from C2 in order to be safe from an advanced red action, which could attack the die on C3. So these 4 pyramids are returned into the supply. Afterwards, player 1 gets to take the small red pyramids from C1 and place them into their personal pool. Small pyramids always enter the personal pool if they have triggered an action. Pyramids in the personal pool are crucial for the end scoring, as the number of pyramids of a specific color in a player's pool gets multiplied with the sum of same color pyramids and die pips in the sector they dominate through influence markers, or co-dominate in case of a tie. So it's important to chase those smalls early on by carrying out basic actions. Let's move on to player 2's first regular turn. Starting from B2, they place their pyramids one by one, performing a loop and ending with a stack of 2 large reds on C2. Player 1 totally missed that there were enough pyramids on B2 that would allow player 1 to trigger large red action on C2 through placing these 2 reds in a loop movement. So now, with this advanced red action triggered by the large reds, player 2 can attack the die on C3, which they do. As the pip value was 1 and the action has a strength of 2, the die is gone, and as it was the only die in this sector, the influence marker is removed as well. What a blunder by player 1! Naturally, player 1 grabs those green large pyramids in order to place a new influence marker through an advanced green action, before player 2 does so. They land on A2 with an action strength of 2. They first add an influence marker to sector A1, which is tied now, and add 2 die pips for the red die. With 4 red pyramids in their pool, player 1 has a scoring advantage for this sector at the moment. Player 2 starts from B3, aiming at the stack of small greens on A1. This lets them add 4 pyramids. They choose to spawn 2 large reds, a large green and a small blue, and add the green pyramids to their pool. The large reds add some danger for player 1, as they can be reached, and thus threaten the die and influence marker on A1. Player 1 needs to think about defending those, and they do, by moving from B1 and thus clearing the danger zone. And even better, they seize the opportunity for an advanced green action with a strength of 3 that allows them to add an influence marker and 3 dice pips. They add a marker to A3 and go for a red die with 2 there and add 1 pip to the die on A1. Looking good for player 1. But this move also left the door wide open with 9 pyramids on a2, which open up interesting possibilities. Player 2 loops the movement, ending up on b2 and scoring big time with the small blues. 3 blue pyramids multiplied by 4, that is the number of adjacent blue sectors, so that's 12 VP for player 2. Every time the combined score of both players completes a 10-point section, that is, whenever the 10th digit changes, which it does here, a bonus action, called mobilization, is triggered. The active player may immediately take 3 pyramids of their choice from the supply and spawn them on any tiles. Player 2 chooses these 3 pyramids. Player 1 makes use of the large green, which player 2 just spawned, and goes for an advanced green action on a1, adding an influence marker and a red die with a pip count of 3 on b1. Player 2 now starts from b3, ending on b2 with a small red. Using the basic red action with a strength of 2, they remove the large pyramids on a2, thereby making any further advanced green actions impossible for now. Even more important though is that they now have a set of green, blue and red pyramids in their personal pool. We'll see later why that is important. Not many options for player 1 here. They choose to collect some small blues by triggering a basic blue action on c3, scoring 2 meager points in the process. This really opens up the board for player 2, so that surely wasn't the best possible move by player 1. There are 4 pyramids on b2 now, including a large green, which makes an advanced green action on a1 possible. Player 2 aims for a1 and adds an influence marker and a green die with 4 pips. And now the set of personal pyramids comes into play, as player 2 triggers a bonus action, called Intrigue, that can be carried out once per player in the entire game. Because player 2 has a pyramid of each color, they can, in addition to their ordinary steps of their turn, and at any point during their turn, relocate an influence marker to a sector that already contains at least 1 influence marker. Of course, they choose player 1's marker and relocate them to a3, where they don't need it at all at the moment. After doing so, they remove 1 pyramid of each color from their pool. Player 1's in trouble now. There's only 1 influence marker left in the supply, which they cannot take, because then the game would end and they would lose badly. So instead, they can only prevent player 2 from getting that marker. They do that by using a basic red action with the large reds on a2 and removing a large green on a3. They also remove the large red on a1, preventing a loop movement that could result in an advanced green action. Not sure why they took away the red though. Player 1 knows that player 2 won't attack a1, since they want to end the game, and such a move would result in the removal of 2 influence markers. But player 2 can attack the red die on a1 with a strength of 3, as 1 die pip will remain there. This move makes sense even in a shared sector, since player 1 holds the advantage on red. Player 1 ends their move on b2 with a medium blue. They choose to swap sectors a2 and c2, score 6 points and gain a bonus spawn action, choosing these 3 pyramids. Player 2 goes for the blue scoring as well, swapping a1 and b1 and thus scoring 9 victory points. Player 1 is chasing the rainbow now, with a last desperate attempt. They finally have a complete set of green, red and blue in their pool, which they directly use for a bonus action. With that bonus action, they take away player 2's influence marker on a1 and place it on a3, where it won't allow for endgame scoring for player 2. But too little too late. Player 2 answers with a looped movement, placing a new influence marker and thereby ending the game. With player 2's lead, this should be a comfortable win. But let's have a closer look at the final scoring. To the victory points earned through blue spanning action throughout the game, we add the sector tile scoring. First, we add a basic scoring for all sectors that contain a player's influence markers. Most influence markers on a sector score 5 victory points, second most 3 victory points, and a tie scores 4 victory points. So, player 1 gains 3 VP for B1 and 5 VP for sector A3. Player 2 gets 5 VP for sector B1 and 3 VP for A3. Now, for each sector tied or dominated by the respective player, multiply the number of blue, red and green pyramids in their pool with the sum of same colored pyramids and die pips in the respective sector. Let's start again with player 1. For A3, player 1 gets 6 points for red and 3 points for blue. Player 2 scores as follows. On B1 they get 1 point for red and 9 points for green. And that's a wrap. I hope this video served as a good entry point beyond your reading of the rules. Of course, there's a lot more to say and learn about the game in terms of strategy, so feel free to contact me. I'm always up for a game on TTS. Have a good one. Bye.